Good morning from Oklahoma. I'm Dave Deken with a look at what's happening in agriculture and rural life across our great state in this episode of Red Dirt and Round Bales. You know, Oklahoma has a way of making the sky feel close. Out on the plains, the horizon doesn't crowd you. A kid can stand in a pasture or beside a small town runway and watch an airplane disappear into the blue and think, well, why not me? Maybe that's why Oklahoma has more astronauts than most states. Their stories don't begin with rockets. They begin with sky, with flight, with grit, with people who looked upward and didn't see distances so much as an invitation. One of the first was Gordon Cooper. He was born in Shawnee in 1927. Folks around here just called him Gordo. His father loved airplanes, and Cooper learned to fly early. By the time most children were still mastering bicycles, he was around flying machines. By 12, he'd already soloed in a plane. Now take a step back and imagine that for a second. A boy from Oklahoma, hands on the controls, and the whole world underneath him. In 1959, NASA chose Cooper as one of the original Mercury Seven. These were the men America sent forward into the beginning of the space race, when nobody knew exactly what would happen with a human body strapped to a rocket. Cooper flew Faith 7 in 1963, the final Mercury mission. And when automatic systems failed during re-entry, he flew the spacecraft home by hand. Oklahoma's next big name was Tom Stafford of Weatherford. Stafford flew Gemini missions, then commanded Apollo 10, the dress rehearsal for the first moon landing. Apollo 10 went all the way to the moon and then skimmed close, tested the plan, and came home so Apollo 11 could finish the job. Stafford didn't get to walk on the moon, but he helped make sure somebody else could. Then in 1975, he commanded Apollo-Soyuz, when American astronauts and Soviet cosmonauts met in orbit and shook hands above a divided world. A man from Weatherford, Oklahoma, helped turn space from a battlefield of national pride into a place where enemies could practice cooperation. That's not a small thing. And Oklahoma kept showing up. Fred Haise, tied to Oklahoma through the University of Oklahoma and the Oklahoma Air National Guard, was aboard Apollo 13. He was supposed to walk on the moon. Instead, an oxygen tank exploded, and the mission became a fight to get 3 men home alive. Haise and the crew shut down the command module and used the lunar module like a lifeboat. The moon had to wait. Survival came first. Stuart Roosa, who grew up in Claremore, flew Apollo 14 as command module pilot. While Alan Shepard and Edgar Mitchell walked on the moon, Roosa orbited alone above them. He also carried tree seeds into space. Later, those seeds were planted back on Earth and became known as moon trees. You gotta admit, there's something almost Oklahoma about that. Sending a seed around the moon and then bringing it home to plant back here in the dirt. Then came Skylab. Owen Garriott of Enid was not just a pilot. He was a scientist, an electrical engineer, one of NASA's first scientist astronauts. He flew aboard Skylab and later Spacelab, helping turn space into a laboratory. William Pogue, born in Okemah and raised in Sand Springs, also flew Skylab. He spent weeks in orbit during the longest Skylab mission, studying the sun, the body, and what happens when people live away from Earth for long stretches of time. By then, space was no longer just a quick up and down adventure. It was becoming work, research, endurance. And Oklahoma was there for that too. Then there's Shannon Lucid, raised in Bethany. She earned her degrees at the University of Oklahoma and became one of NASA's first women astronauts in 1978. She flew 5 missions, including a long stay aboard the Russian space station Mir. For 188 days, she lived above the Earth. Think about that. A girl raised in Bethany, Oklahoma, grew up to circle the planet for months at a time, helping prove that space was not just for one kind of person or one kind of story. Then, in 2002, John Herrington of Wetumpka a citizen of the Chickasaw Nation, flew aboard the space shuttle Endeavour to the International Space Station. He became the first enrolled member of a Native American tribe to go into space. He carried with him items of cultural meaning, including the Chickasaw Nation flag and eagle feathers. That moment mattered. Now we should also remember Jerrie Cobb of Norman. She passed astronaut medical tests in the early 1960s, part of the group of women who proved that they had the ability before they were given the opportunity. NASA never sent her into space. Her story still belongs here. Because history is not only made by the doors that open, sometimes it's made by the people who keep knocking. Today, Oklahoma's connection to aerospace is not just memory. It is livelihood. Aviation and aerospace are among the state's biggest industries, supporting jobs, maintenance shops, engineers, military bases, classrooms, and small-town dreams. And maybe that's the real story. Oklahoma did not send astronauts into space because it had mountains, oceans, or giant cities. It sent them because it had open skies, hard work, good schools, military airfields, and people raised to believe distance was something you crossed. From Shawnee to Weatherford, Enid to Okemah, Bethany to Wetumpka. Those names may look small on a map, but look up at night. Some of Oklahoma's story is still moving across the stars. And that tells you something. We were not able to get everybody's story into this episode for the radio, so please visit our website to hear the full story about astronauts from our great state. And to learn more about the astronauts from Oklahoma, visit reddirtandroundbales.com. I'm Dave Deken, and we'll talk with you next time when we take another look at rural life and agriculture in Oklahoma on Red Dirt and Round Bales.